So we got a question here that's come in from the audience. Says, what do you suggest to minimize static in the shop or at the laminator?
A couple of things we've suggested is we've found a really good static string that you can actually drape onto your material. I know we supply that here. It really does work well. The other thing is keeping the humidity up in your shop, keeping the humidity correct in your shop. That's another thing a lot of people don't understand is that, well, my shop's air conditioned. Okay, it's air conditioned, but it's not necessarily climate controlled or humidity conditioned. And so the humidity affects your paper greatly. I mean, you can walk in, you know, some people will say, oh, I just brought this out of the back, you know, print room, and they got this paper in here. And, well, yeah, it's been sitting out in the warehouse for 4 days in the hot, humid weather. We've had rain for 6 days, and that stuff's going to be, you know, glued together almost. And on the other hand, it's been sitting in the back corner of an air-conditioned office or something. It's going to be a lot drier than you might want it. So the humidity can really affect how your static adheres your sheets together when you're trying to feed them through the machines.
And we've had a lot of experience around, obviously, lamination being one of our primary wheelhouse areas, and moisture conditioning of the paper is so important, not only from the feeding, but when we're doing lamination in Sleek Pro, we can have dramatic effects, positive and negative, just because of that humidity factor in the sheet, can't we?
Yeah, you get an overly moist sheet or damp sheet, for lack of a better term, and you start feeding it through those hot rollers, but you're sealing it on both sides with laminate. That moisture's got to go somewhere. You'll get to the end of your sheet and you'll have a great big bubble on the end of your sheet where all that moisture tried to escape before it got sealed. Just like a Ziploc baggie almost.
Yeah. And we've had, you know, some clients where we've seen actual moisture running off the rollers when they've been running.
Yeah.
Because of the dew point and the high humidity. Yeah. So it's very important that not only just air conditioned, but the importance, isn't it, of the stock that you're going to be running has been climatized, you know, well in advance before you're processing it. Not like when you say the sheets have come from a warehouse and now they're quickly trying to be run in a conditioned environment, but those sheets are everything but conditioned.
It can take up to 48 hours in the same environment to condition it to the environment, depending on the, you know. Yeah, I mean, if you got a little stack here, it might be fine for tomorrow, but you got a whole bat of paper that just came out, or that came off your press 2 weeks ago and was sitting out the back of your warehouse. You're trying to run it through your Falcon, and you're scratching your head because nothing's working right. Well, that could be why.
Going back to the static days, you talked about static string, but there's a couple other things that I actually had a question yesterday about trying to identify where static starts. Right?
Yes.
So taking care of it on the back of the press when it's coming out. If you have kinetic potential energy in that stack, as soon as you move that sheet, you're going to basically activate the static. So I know that I've worked with Dave a little bit on some actual powered ionizing jars as well, DC controlled. So static is one of those things that seems mysterious, but there is methods to overcome it.
You think along with all of that, John and Dave, what you guys have said is great, but we also deal with a lot of little shops that unfortunately don't have static control or conditioning at their fingertips. What can they do? So one of the things that we've found is if they get stuck with static is just to fan the sheet piles before you put them onto the deck of that laminator. Just take them and fan them really good. Break them open, get some air going in there. And the other thing is if you have an air jogger that has a blow air on it with a jogger, you can put them on that jogger and blow air into them. That, for a small shop, that if you don't have these humidity controls available, that can be a huge assistance to you just to really take it a next step forward to dealing with that static off the feed tray of your laminator or your folder.
The ionizing joggers are very key, aren't they? Especially from a feeding standpoint. Obviously you can't remove moisture instantaneously, but the ionizing joggers definitely help with the static of digital sheets that we're becoming also familiar with